Most people don't realize they're drowning in debt until it's already too late. I was one of them. If you're new here, I'm Christopher. I help entrepreneurs and professionals step into abundance and a life by design by creating more time and money freedom in their lives. By 25, I had made over $1 million, and if you think about it, I should have been set. Instead, I pissed it all away, and not even on something cool like a crazy market crash. I actually spent most of it on self-education and lost the rest to debt and lifestyle creep. The expensive house, the new cars, the constant treat yourself mindset. It all felt normal. In fact, it felt like what I thought success was and what I saw everyone else doing. Everything seemed totally fine until I started a new business, what I'm doing now, and had some challenging financial months along the way. The payments, they started to stack up. The interest, it stacked up, compounding faster than I could even keep up with. And before I knew it, I was working twice as hard as ever before just to stay afloat and to keep up. If you've ever felt that pit in your stomach, like when you check your bank balance or ignored a credit card notification because you already know it's ugly, trust me, I've been there. You're not alone, and you're also not doomed. Here's the thing. Most people aren't stuck in debt because they're actually irresponsible and stupid. They're stuck because of the consumeristic mindset and the system that's been created to keep you stuck and confused. Minimum payments, sky-high interest, confusing financial advice. It's all meant to keep you barely surviving and definitely not thriving. But there's a way out that we're going to talk about today that I'm using to rebuild my life now, and this time with clarity and the proper strategy. And in this video, I'm going to give you the exact playbook I'm using to pay off debt fast. You're going to learn how to get clear on what you actually owe. You're going to learn 2 debt payoff methods that work incredibly fast. And you're also going to learn how to stay consistent even if you failed before, because I know that this journey is definitely not easy. These steps aren't complicated. They're incredibly simple. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a plan, which I'm going to give you today, and the courage to follow it and step out of the old patterns that got you stuck in the first place. So if you're feeling tired of being behind, you're ready to take control of your finances and pay off your debt, this video is for you, and I'm excited to jump right in. The first step to paying off your debt fast isn't sexy, but it is essential. You need to know your numbers. If I can spell numbers. Here's why. Know your numbers. Not kinda, not I think I owe around, I mean exactly. What you owe, who you owe it to, what's your interest rate, and what's your minimum payment. So why do we need to know all this? Well, it's because when you can't see it clearly, your brain is going to convince you it isn't even that bad and to keep going, or worse, it's going to turn it into an even bigger and scarier, more overwhelming thing than it actually is. But once you see it on paper, it loses its power. You're not guessing anymore, you're planning. So here's what you want to write down again. What do you owe? Credit cards, student loans, personal loans, house. Did you DoorDash and forget to pay it off with Klarna, which I think is crazy, but if you did, write that shit down. Secondly, who do you owe it to? Write down the creditors. Is it Citibank? Is it American Express? Who is it? Third, what's your interest rate? You want to know that for each credit line. And lastly, what's your minimum payment? And that's it. You can do this on a notebook, on your phone, or in a simple spreadsheet. I've even linked a free template down below you can steal. It's going to take you less than 20 minutes and it'll change your life. So remember, if you're deep in this stress spiral, this might feel hard, but I promise clarity kills anxiety. And more importantly, it sets you up to win. But you might be thinking, well, what if I don't want to see the total because it's going to freak me out? Look, that's normal, but hiding from it doesn't make it go away. This is your opportunity to take back control and really see the picture clearly so you can do something about it. And if you're someone who already kind of knows your debt, like you know how much you owe, do it anyways. Seeing all the numbers laid out together will probably surprise you because I bet you're not looking at the whole picture, and it brings a sense of order to the chaos. It shows you exactly what you're working with and gives you a great starting point. It's not about judging your past. I'm definitely not judging your past. Don't judge mine. We're using this to build our future. Once you got your numbers, the path forward becomes way more obvious. So now that you've got that clarity, let's move on to the actual strategy. How do you actually pay your debt off faster? Now, for step 2, it's time to pick a payoff strategy. This will be your plan of attack. And there are 2 proven ways to pay off debt fast. The first one is known as the avalanche, and the second one is known as the snowball. Both the avalanche and the snowball work. The key is picking which one is best for you, and I'm going to help you do that right now. So first things first, let's start with the avalanche. This is kind of the big brother version of these two. With this strategy, you pay off the highest interest rate debt first. So here's how that would look. So you're going to lay out your debts using the know your numbers step, and then you're going to look and see what has the highest interest rate. You're going to pay that one off first while making minimum payments on everything else. And then you're going to move on to the next debt that has the highest interest once you've paid that off. Technically speaking, this is the most efficient way mathematically. You'll pay less interest, and in theory, you'll get out of debt faster. But before we jump into that, let's talk about the snowball method. The snowball method is all about psychology. You start off by paying the smallest debt off first. And there's a reason this is super important. You get a quick win. You feel that momentum, and that motivation makes it easier for you to keep going, because once that small debt is crushed with the snowball method, you then take all the money you were paying towards it and you put it towards the next smallest debt. That's why it's called a snowball, right? It builds up over time. Here's the truth that most gurus don't talk about with either one of these methods. The best method is the one you're actually going to stick with. Let's say, just for the sake of math, you've got 4 debts. You have a $300 debt, you have a $1,200 debt, you have a $6,000 debt, and an $8,000 debt. So mathematically, the avalanche method might save you some money paying off these debts because you're paying off the highest interest rate first, which means you'll pay less interest over time. But using the snowball method, maybe paying off that $300 debt is going to light a fire under your ass and keep you consistent for months to come and excited. If you're super disciplined, I'd recommend going with the avalanche method because, again, you're going to save the most money long term. But if you struggle with consistency or you feel like you need to get some quick wins because you're stressed out about your finances, I think the snowball is a game changer, and currently that's the one I'm working on. And you can even hybrid it. This is what I did. Maybe you start with the snowball and pay off the lowest debt first, and after you get that quick win out of the way, you switch to the avalanche. The important thing is that whatever you choose, it needs to feel doable. This is your system. This is your path. No more guessing. No more random payments. You've got to have a plan. Now that you have a plan, you'll begin building momentum, and momentum is everything because it's what got you in this situation in the first place, and it is what will get you out. Now, I want to give you a secret to supercharge this process, even if you feel like you don't have that much cash available to start paying off your debt. That leads us to step 3, which is increase your gap. So let's talk about that. What is gap? If you want to pay off debt faster, you have to increase your gap. That's the space between what you earn minus what you spend. Okay, so we want to increase the gap, and there's a few different ways we can do that. The gap is your fuel. The bigger it is, the faster your debt is going to disappear, and the smaller it is, the more it's going to feel like you're treading on water. We need cash flow. We need excess cash to pay off the debt. And the good news is there's 2 ways you can do that. You can grow the gap from both sides, from cutting expenses or from increasing income. You don't have to live like a monk. You definitely don't need to start $1 million business, but what you do need to do is live intentionally. Let's start with expenses. Most people overspend not because they're reckless, but because they're unaware. They don't know their numbers. So that $10 subscription, no big deal. $8 coffee, no big deal. That random delivery on a Friday night because you're stoned or you're bored for $40, it all adds up. I challenge you to do a 1-week spending audit. Know your numbers. Track every dollar that you've spent, and you'll be shocked. And then once you spot those leaks, plug them. Cancel the subscriptions you don't use. Pause auto renewals of softwares or other tools. Cut back. It's not eliminating everything, but even just trimming up $150 a month can speed things up dramatically. So that's how we increase your gap on the spending side. Now let's talk about the earning side, also known as income. There's only so much you can cut, but your income has no cap, regardless of what you believe. Could you freelance? Could you drive for Uber, deliver food? Could you sell stuff around the house? Could you tutor someone, monetize a skill, get a hobby that you can turn into a couple $100 a month? You totally can. Remember, even $200 extra per month is massive over a year when you apply either the avalanche or the snowball method. When I started rebuilding, I sold off most of my possessions I didn't need. I cut my expenses by 75%. I took on more clients, and I even negotiated with my banks to reduce my interest rates and payments. Every dollar that I've made or saved has gone straight to my debt payoff plan, and that progress has felt super addicting. By the way, if you'd like my help not only with your debt plan, but improving your mindset and skill set so you can make more money and save hours per week, you can book a call down below. Here's a mindset shift. Don't just make more money, increase your gap. That money doesn't go to more spending. It goes towards buying yourself back your freedom. So if you get a bonus, if you get a raise, you get a refund, it's not play money. That's fuel for the fire of the avalanche or the snowball. Throw it at your highest priority debt based on your plan and watch the balance drop over time. Remember, you don't need to do all this at once, but every bit of gap that you increase, right, whether through earning or reducing spending, is going to help you to be more consistent, and it's going to compound this whole process even faster. This is how I've seen people pay off their debt in record time. They're drowning in debt, and next thing you know, they're debt-free in less time than I personally thought was possible, or they did as well. So I'm copying what I've seen work. Let's talk about step 4, and that is automate your payoff, okay? So this is where we switch from willpower and we step into systems. The reason why this works is because it takes you out of the equation. So you know your numbers, you've picked your strategy, you've increased your gap. Now it's time to automate your debt payoff. Here's why it matters. Willpower is inconsistent and you only have so much of it. Motivation's going to come and go, but automation and systems, it's steady. It works black and white whether or not you're involved. It doesn't get tempted by good deals or late night outs. It just happens. It works with or without you. So the goal is to create this system where your extra payments happen automatically before you even have a chance to spend the money. So here's how you're going to do that. You want to set your minimum payments as usual with auto pay. So that way your minimum payments are getting paid. You're not going to go late on anything. And then you want to schedule an extra payment on top of that from this gap that you created to go towards the debt avalanche or debt snowball method. Do it on payday, do it weekly, or right after your income hits. Do it whenever it works for you. But the important thing is to automate your payoff. Make it automatic. Most banks and apps let you schedule recurring transfers or bill payments. It's a one-time setup that keeps paying off every month, literally, not only in time because you don't have to do it yourself, but also it literally is paying off your debt, and it keeps you out of trouble because you're going to be tempted. I know it. I personally use a tool called Sequence to automate my finances. It costs a little bit of money, but has been well worth it. I'll link it down below if you're curious about checking it out, as well as my budget and profit and loss app, Copilot. It's awesome. So this single step right here removes friction and decision fatigue because you don't have to decide to be responsible. It just happens. It gets paid over time automatically, and it's going to help you to build massive momentum. I'd even recommend you automate savings at the same time. If you're working on building an emergency fund alongside paying off your debt, that way you're building some protection and security and peace of mind while you're destroying this debt that you've accumulated. The more automation that you can build, the more systems you can build, the less emotions can mess with your progress. Been there, done that. This is how you plan for your future and for your future self. You've done the work. Now it's time to create the system. And once you take action on this, it's going to continue to work for you in the background. Before you go, I want to tell you the truth. Paying off your debt isn't always exciting. In the beginning, especially when you pay off your lowest debt first, if you do the snowball, it's going to feel amazing. You're taking action, you're seeing results, and then bam, life's going to bitch slap you. It's going to happen. Next thing you know, you have an unexpected bill. Your dog needs to go to the vet. You have a bad month in your business or career. You have a mental challenge, and you feel like you failed. But I promise you, you haven't. Progress is not linear. It's messy. It's up and down. But as long as you keep going, in my eyes, you're winning and you're working the plan. It took you a while to get into debt in the first place. It's going to take you a while to get out of it. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they quit just because they hit a setback. Or worse, they self-sabotage after a splurge because they're like, well, I already fucked up, so may as well keep going and then, destroy their progress in the meantime. No. Reset, recommit, recalibrate, keep moving forward no matter what. Celebrate your wins. Every single time you pay off a debt, you better be celebrating, patting yourself on the back and on the ass. Maybe write it down. Maybe tell a friend. It's that feeling of progress that's going to keep you in the game and become addictive. Also, huge. Avoid comparison. Just because someone else paid off $50K of debt in 6 months doesn't mean you have to. It's your journey, your story, your path. Maybe you do it faster. Maybe you do it slower. It doesn't matter. Debt payoff remember, is not just a numbers game, it's a mental game. You're improving your money mindset by doing this. You're taking back control of your financial future. It's not the ones that mess up that lose, it's the ones that stop. So don't stop. You're building something that's going to continue to pay off as time progresses. Haha, payoff, pun intended. So stick with it. You don't need a perfect budget or a finance degree to crush your debt. You need a clear plan, a little bit of time, and some consistency and discipline. This isn't about just paying off debt. It's about building the life you actually want on your terms. If this helped you, definitely like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more no bullshit money and mindset content in the future. Share this with someone who needs it. Also, there's another video on money I made. I think you're going to love it. Feel free to check it out before you go. You got this. I'm rooting for you. Much love, my friend. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.